Hey everybody, welcome to episode 90 of the Bonehead Podcast, where we talk all things Blood Bowl. Welcome back. I'm Ben, and once again I'm joined by Blood Tithe Ben. Hey BT, how you doing?
Hello again. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good, man. Happy Norse Day.
I know. Exciting news. A new team.
yeah.
Another one.
No, do we call today Norse Day, or is a day like Norse Reveal Day, and then the release day is Norse Day? I want to get this right for the calendars in the future. You know.
I think the release day would be Norse Day.
Okay. Well, it must be National Adepticon Preview Middle of the Night Day then.
Yeah. Today is Adepticon. So I guess that.
Do they? We don't have like. Do we do any big game shows in the UK where Games Workshop do a bunch of releases?
We have like UK Games Expo. I don't know if they do anything for that. They do their like Warhammer Day, don't they? Like they do their own thing.
Yeah.
Like what is it? What do they call it now? It's like Warhammer Fest. Is it?
Oh yeah, it is called Warhammer
Like Games
Fest,
Day or something. Yeah, and
oh yeah, that's right. Because was it last year or the year before? Well, it can't have been the year before. Most definitely wasn't the year before. So it must have been last year where they were like, "It's Warhammer." Do you know what? This might have been 3 years ago. Where they were like, "Oh, it's Warhammer Fest. Get together with friends, play Games Workshop games, have a great time."
They did that last year.
It was last
26th
year.
April 2021. Warhammer Fest Online. Oh no, Warhammer Fest Online is next week, and it's going to be big. They did it online, and that's when they revealed.
What did they reveal? Where was?
It wasn't Blood Bowl there. It was Monday 3rd. Warhammer. Oh, was that when they revealed the minion? Age of Sigma.
Yeah, I think it might have been then with the Swamp Orcs.
Yeah, I think that might have been then. Oh, they had the. They did have the Born's Ghosts. That was one. Yeah, no, this was after that. This was after.
Hang on.
So, I'm just looking at it.
So
this was the Orcs. Oh, they did reveal the new Beast Snaggers for 40k.
Oh yeah. So when was that? April? You say?
Yeah, that was April or May. That was May.
So we've got that coming up in a couple of months then.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, I can't imagine that they'll do anything to show. I think Norse stuff will hopefully be out around about that time. So, I hope they don't do this a really long, really long delayed release. Anyway, other than being happy Adepticon Preview Day, how you doing, man? What's new? Anything exciting?
Yeah, no, not too much. This time we are recording. This is like secret facts we record. Actually, is it secret? Is it coming out? Anyway, who knows? Behind the scenes.
Yeah, no,
we are doing it a week earlier than we normally would.
Yes, absolutely, because of Norse and not because I'm away with work.
Yeah, all because of Norse. Yeah, so honestly, not a huge amount has happened in a week. I think I blitzed through that fire team and I thought I'm just going to have a little bit of a rest, and I went back to doing some more networks.
You haven't seen the fire team game yet, have you?
No, I haven't.
No.
I've seen the pictures.
Oh yeah, Ben painted up the fire team for the Dungeon Bowl Bonehead Championship, and it's awesome. Like it's almost got, which is really appropriate. It's always got like smoky blends, and the oil makes it really rich. It's a really tasty scheme. Like really cool.
It's kind of intense. I actively tried to paint it warm. Like I had a few goes, being just like I can't get this to look right, and then there was something that just clicked, and I was like, okay, this looks like they're warm and it's like sooty.
Yeah, you absolutely crushed it. I will say though, the Marauder linemen are very squishy players. That's all I'll say. They are
really
incredibly squishy.
Frenzy with armor 8+ is.
They're not dwarf blockers.
I'm looking forward to seeing that. Yeah. Did you run them?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember who they played against. I
think it was Heavens.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the pictures.
Yeah, awesome, man. I'm really looking forward to putting those together in the next couple of weeks and then starting to put the games out, because it was Dungeon Bowl, such good fun. And on Dungeon Bowl, we've got Dorset Dungeon Bowl coming up in 7 weeks, 6-7 weeks now.
Yeah, God, that is soon. Yeah,
tickets are sold out. Like we've got 40 players. It's all good to go. I really need to go over into a tournament and check their internet connection. But it'll
and tell them.
I've told Pete.
We have 40 players.
I've told Pete. Pete's well aware. So that's wicked. But yeah, Ben, you are quite right. We're recording a week after the last one, and it's completely fortuitous. Next week I'm away for work 4 out of 5 days. And I'm just like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do London, then back, and then record the podcast and actually have it be not garbage.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
yeah, we were like, oh, we'll just do it a week early. And then Games Workshop were like, yeah, we're going to do. And I was prepared. I was like, oh no, like Adepticon releases, they're going to land on Saturday. We're going to have the podcast come out a week later, not having talked about any of the releases. And boom, they were like, yeah, we're going to do it Thursday morning. I'm like, hey, I'll take that. That's fantastic.
You stayed up.
Well,
Stayed up for these announcements.
that was not the plan, right? So Tiff and I had the chat, the talk about what would be the least offensive time for me to film the stuff. 3 in the morning or 6 in the morning. She said 6 in the morning. I was like, no, fine, no worries. So I set my alarm for 6 in the morning, and then promptly my body woke me up at 2:30. I said this would happen to her. I was like, I'm just gonna wake up like for it anyway. It's going to be really aggravating. So I woke up at 2:30, watched the preview for the Norse team, and then was like, oh, sweet. Go back to sleep for a few hours, get up and film that in a minute. And 45 minutes later, I was still awake. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to go film it now. So like,
That's dedication.
It was so good.
From the grind, Ben. The
Ah,
grind.
I love this stuff. It's so exciting. Like our little corner of the world. When we get big news, it's like, oh, this is
really
amazing.
nice. It is really nice. I mean, I can't help being like a massive cynic because I'm a wargamer. So obviously there is still that part of me where it's like, oh, really exciting reveals, but Games Workshop.
But are they exciting? Is this important? Is this a big deal? You know,
I tried to get excited because this is actually really cool. I really like this.
It is super
which
cool.
We will talk about extensively.
Very, very much so, and we won't start just yet. Right. In fact, Ben, what are we talking about today? I realise I only sent these show notes across to you like 10 minutes ago.
No. Today we are talking about the Norse team that we discussed, and also I don't know.
It's basically the Norse team and more
the huge Norse reveal.
The Norse team, yeah.
On the roster and changes and the usual news and hobby as I scrolled up on the show notes.
Yeah, fantastic. I was like, maybe I didn't write it in there.
No, I was just like scrolled up and I was like, I can't find it.
No, I mean,
there it is.
Better than I normally send the show notes through a little bit earlier than that, and then we normally have like a bit of chat first. But we got into it talking about a terminology called the Scrum Master, and that kind of laid us off topic a bit. Anyway, I tell you what, we'll go into core Blood Bowl news right now. Okay, so Blood Bowl news, spoiler alert, Norse news is massive, and we are going to be doing an entire 2 topics of the podcast, 2 segments of the podcast based on it. First of all, news-wise, just want to say hello to a bunch of new Patreons who've joined, so really appreciate everybody's support, watching, sharing, chatting with us, and big welcome to Noah Tonkin, Richard Wood, Jason Simpson, Phil, William Hoffman, Midris, Ben Smith, and Uncle Cal has returned to the fold, which is awesome. So really appreciate everybody's support on that one. Now, news-wise, because it's been a week, there's not a lot, but there is one thing that I think is insanely cool that's coming out soon, and this is the Torchlight Models STL Tribe. So my mini factory has a thing called a tribe, which is like Patreon, but actually makes a lot more sense and is normally a little bit cheaper. Actually, Ben, are you a triber at all?
No, I haven't done this. I actually did. I'll be honest, I did cancel quite a lot of patrons because I wasn't doing much printing lately. So I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna I'm gonna take a little bit of a break. But I've recently been going into it again, so seeing this might actually change your mind a bit.
It's really good value. I can't remember how much it is. I even did the video on these guys the other day. It's like $6 or $10 or something. And,
first sword, yeah, $6 a month plus VAT.
Yeah, that's right. They're good. The VAT bit throws me off. So I don't know, like £8 a month, which is basically the same as most Blood Bowl patrons. Like the Punga one is elite. That's like about £8 a month, and every 2 to 3 months you get a full Blood Bowl team, which I mean, for an STL team, I think £20 is about right. I tell you what, let's talk about this real quick, Ben. The STLs, they're normally cheaper than a team. How much would you be? How much for a team, for a Blood Bowl team, STL wise? What's your red, amber, green thresholds?
It's hard to say. It's really hard to say. Like you say, 20 quid is probably the upper limit for a team. I think, like, I mean, that's used to be what you would get for a team of Games Workshop plastic, like, originally, right?
It's nearer £30 now with price increases, but yeah, 20 quid, you kind of like, oh, I'll get a team of 20 quid.
For all unique models. To be fair, the actual printing doesn't cost a lot. Like, if you have your own printer and you've already had that upfront cost, obviously that is a big factor. But like, printing the individual models isn't a lot, and I'm usually not that hesitant to support artists when they're making these STL teams. Yeah. So that's why I don't generally feel too bad.
I think you're right. I think the most expensive teams we've got up there are some that are about like £40-50 though. I think
that's just too much.
Didn't the RNE Studio, or it's actually a studio because they're Spanish, but I've been calling them E Studio for so long because I am incredibly they're
are we just racist then?
I don't know. I think we're just very British. Anyway, and E Studio makes sense because I was like, oh yeah, cool.
I thought it was studio. Like because they do digital models.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Spain. My bad.
Whoops.
Yeah. I think they were doing. Do you remember they had like the humans that were kind of Bretonian-ish, but also very like Wolverine, and they had the orcs. I'm sure they were priced at like £40 or £50 at one point, and I was like, that is my red territory. Then
that is too much.
Yeah. Then Brute Fun, I think is about £25 for the Lizard Man team. Now, that is on the upper end. The difficult thing with the Brute Fun, that's the Lizardman bundle, is you get 4 different Croxigors, like a dozen different skinks, actually it's more than a dozen. Well, it's a dozen skinks, but with different heads as well. 6 Sauruses with different heads, a Star Player Saurus, 2 Star Player Skinks. Like, you get the Star Players in there as well. So I was kind of like, you know what, £20 for a full team, yep. With a couple of Star Players bought in, yes, it would be £30 if I bought the whole thing like individually. I'm like, that is probably the upper limit, but that one's value, I think, and the sculpts are just outrageous. We should probably do a power ranking of STLs, STL companies, because I think there's been a bit of a change where we've got like some newbies in there, and then there's the Patreons like Punga, where it is £20 to £30 over the course of a couple of months to 3 months. And that I feel like is the amber territory. That's like fine.
Like, I mean, it's no secret. I love Punga. I think personally they're like my favorite kind of Blood Bowl sculpts.
Yeah.
I do kind of disagree with their model, and I feel so awful saying that because the stuff they make is so good, and it's like it feels like a scam when you're kind of complaining about getting even half a team, which is realistically kind of what you get with some Games Workshop teams.
It's bang on the money,
you're getting half a team for like £8.
Yeah,
I mean £10 with printing, and you're just like, yeah. So I feel bad complaining, but it is kind of like when you put it in perspective of everything else, it can be quite a lot. And I think the issue I have is because it's on Patreon. It's one, time gated, and 2, you kind of are in a subscription model, which generally you psychologically you get more bang for your buck. I don't know enough about economics to comment on this, but yeah, I don't know. It just feels like because you're in this kind of like unknown subscription, usually Patreon is a marketplace to get more for your money. Does that make any sense?
Well, it's both, isn't it? It's a place where you just go and you, like you said right at the beginning, you go and you support your favorite creators, like for a couple of months if you can, all the time if you can, and generally speaking you get early access to stuff and more stuff, whatever it is, whether it's us, whether it's 3D printed stuff, whether it's I used to follow some great D&D things, and then I was like, I haven't played D&D forever, but I really like the adventures. I'm like, yeah, okay, but do you really need it? I'm like, no, fine, I'll just stop paying £4 to those people, and I'll just waste that £4 at the supermarket instead buying chocolate to make up for the sadness that I don't have dungeon adventures. But like, the Punga one is a really strange one because, quality of digital sculpting, and with the exception of the stupid dwarves that they stupidly supported upside down on their stupid wings, they're great. Like, they're perfect. I just think it's because you have to wait. It feels incomplete for a whole month.
I think that's why. Yeah, the wait.
Even though like if they were like, hey, we're gonna do, it's just weird. If they were like, hey, it's gonna be £20 a month Patreon, and we're gonna do a whole team every 2 months. I don't know. I don't know how they could do it different, because I appreciate the way they're like sculpting an entire team of this quality every month. We can't do right now. Like, not possible. That said, there's some other dudes, including Torchlight, who are Torchlight's a one-man band and is doing an entire team every month. This is the 4th team that we're looking at now with the Orcs here. This is... They've done... their first team was the Torchlight Dwarves. One of those dwarves played the role of a bodyguard in the Bonehead Championship, because I didn't think the nobility would get that far. And then they did the Khemri team, which was pretty cool. Then they did the Amazon team, who I loved. Like, not Amazon team, it was a Norse team, but they were Amazons, essentially. Like, the Skyrim lady team.
Yep.
Really wicked. Strange proportions, but really wicked. And now they've gone, I say they because they're an entity, but it is just one dude, and released this absolute tank, or will be releasing this absolute tank of an Orc team. And I just had to talk about it, because £8 basically, and it's going to be a full release of Black Orcs and Orcs together.
You get the goblins too.
Yeah. He sent a whole list of stuff through to us, because we give him feedback basically, because the first one where they kind of didn't pre-support the models, and then, or they did pre-support them, but they deployed them all on a tray at the same time. So there was one STL, but the 6 dudes were in it. It was kind of like, that's not the most, like, it's fine, but it's not the most user friendly. It was kind of the feedback there. Where's my message from them? But anyway, they're doing the Orcs soon, and I wanted to show them off on the pod, because if you are a 3D printer person, this is just absolutely amazing. 6 Black Orcs, 4 Blitzers, 5 Goblins, 2 Throwers, 2 Line Orcs, 1 Troll, 1 turn marker, and 1 reroll token.
The Troll looks great, so I'm just looking at it. Like this whole team looks fantastic.
Where's the Troll? There's the Troll. This is interesting. So the Troll kind of gone with it's a Nordic troll style.
Yeah.
It's kind of got the hooked nose, the tusk teeth, and I really love the pose. I love the way that the armor's kind of carried over as well.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
It's very similar to the Artisan Guild's release from last month, which again was the same kind of troll with the big nose and the tusks. Interesting. So yeah, the Troll's coming out. It looks absolutely brilliant. There's going to be... have you seen the Blitzers?
I'm guessing it's just underneath, right?
Yeah, these 4 dudes. I love the posing. I think they're super. Like, they look proper 2nd edition, 3rd edition Blood Bowl. Like, these look like proper Orcs.
Yeah, really, just, it's orky, isn't it? It's like the beaten up armor.
Yes.
Like,
jagged
the way
bits.
the spikes are. Yeah.
I
so good.
have no interest in an Orc team, except this is just inspired an Orc team. So the Black Orcs are looking absolutely brilliant. We haven't seen any previews of the Goblins yet, but the Black Orcs, of which there are 4, they look proper chunky. They look like slightly better versions of the Games Workshop plastic team Black Orcs. Like, same kind of size, same kind of stature. They've got like the big fists. They've got tiny ankles, which I know you did bring up.
Yes, they do have small ankles.
Yeah.
I was going to say the fists really remind me of the Ard Boys.
Yes.
Like the Warhammer Ard Boys.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's it. That's
and they are Black Orcs, aren't they?
Yeah,
they
were original Black Orcs. So
yeah.
I think it's wicked. I'm really excited. So if you're interested in following and supporting a really cool up and coming Blood Bowl sculptor, then jump on the Torchlight mission while you can. Every one of their teams has got a slight scale or a slight proportion issue. I think it's where they're just kind of starting out. So the Norse ladies were very tall and thin. Not to the level of WA Games High Elves, but on that way. They were head and shoulders taller than a nobility thrower, so I had to scale them down to 90%, and they work great. The dwarves were a little bit on the large size, but you had to scale them down to 90%, and they kind of didn't have necks. They were kind of cartoony, and I loved it. The skeletons were perfect, and the orcs just look bang on Games Workshop proportions. Like, if these were Games Workshop models, I'd be really thrilled, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I agree, especially the blitzers, like you said.
yeah, the blitzers, they just got this classic look, and it's just, I don't know, really impressive. I wanted to show them off, because, you know, we supported John, and our Torchlight's out there as well. So John from Brute Fun, Torchlight, there are a bunch of great stuff coming in that I think is just definitely worth shouting about. Now, while they don't do teams, there are places that do print the teams. I can't remember where, but I've seen a couple of mentioned that. In fact, check out our videos when we do a print pitch for these. Someone will be in there saying, hey, I do this in the UK, or because that's what happens every time, and it's really useful. Anyway, on to other really good stuff. Just wanted to check in on a couple of Kickstarters. The Savannah team, which we received, and is just gorgeous. And they've this is the one with all the rhinos and the stuff. 5,300 against a goal of 800. 10 days to go, so this one's still good to go until April the 4th. The big elephant's amazing. The scale is right. The sculpting's right. The 3D printing quality is potentially better than Grebo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like Grebo,
Nice.
there's you can see some rings, right? These guys, you can't. You can see some supports. That's about it.
Wow.
Yeah, really, really, really good. I meant to give you these, Ben, when we met up in town, and I robbed the fire team off.
Oh, yeah. That's okay.
But if you really do want these to paint up as a paint project, please do, because they are gorgeous models. And yeah, I think you'd really like it. I think you'd really like them. They are, I mean, typical third-party team price, £61. It might be a little bit less, actually. £61 with the elephant, 4 rhino dudes, which is now 6 rhino dudes because of the stretch goals, 2 hippos, 6 chimpanzees, 2 baboons. So you've got Black Orc sorted, you've got Lizard Man sorted, and it's just a really well sculpted and a brilliantly printed team. This is real models again, and normally real model team with the big guy is kind of £80. So the fact that this is about 60 quid, brilliant, like over the moon. Really over the moon. And one of the best comments we had on one of our videos was that I just love how excited Ben was about this. In fact, it was on our last podcast, because I did get really excited when I opened the box, because it arrived that day. Apparently Thursdays are really good days. Good stuff happens on Thursdays, and then it's Friday, and then it's
even better.
It's the weekend. And the only other Kickstarter I wanted to check in was the 3D Fantasy Football Dugouts, because that's still trucking along, £1,600 against a target of £800, so that's good to go. 6 days left on that one. That ends on Thursday next week, which will be another Good Day Thursday, and that's where you can pick up the STLs for Team Dugouts. They've got like a group chaos one with bleeding skulls and stuff. I love it. I think it's really cool, and there's some really cool stuff out there. I think, Ben, that's it for Blood Bowl news. So we'll hit on hobby, and then we'll go back to the news and have a big deep dive into Norse. Okie dokie, and we're back, and it is hobby time. BT, in the last 6 days, what have you been up to hobby-wise? Hobbies and games.
Yeah, I've been doing a little bit. I built up some of the more of the light team, the College of Light, which is the next one I'll be working on, and this arrived to expand it because I needed a few more positionals. So
elves,
got myself another elf team, which is I think the third box of these. And yeah, so I've done that. I've built up some more Necrons for a commission I'm working on. I've also been doing some stuff for Gloomhaven.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so I recently started a campaign with some friends we moved near. They live near our new house. And we thought, let's start a Gloomhaven campaign. And this is me and my partner, my girlfriend, and then them too. And yeah, be fantastic fun. So Gloomhaven is, Board Game Geek #1 board game, and for good reason. It's fantastic. But all the models, all the enemies come as standees. So for anyone who's played, the standees are nice. They've got nice art on, but it can be a bit annoying when you have 4 people. Just be like, oh, what was that? What's that? And you got to rotate. And so I'm kind of replacing them with miniatures.
Are you printing?
Yeah, so I've gotten back into printing.
Whoa, moving house is the best thing that ever happened to you.
Yeah, I know. I've the printers back up and running after months and months. I think it was October was the last time I properly printed stuff, and I cleaned it to move house, which was in January. So the printer had resin in from October to January. So if you're wondering, it's fine. You can leave resin in the vat, and there are no problems. And
it was in there literally just mix it up again and go for it.
Yeah, no, well, I just put it back in the bottle, and I poured that bottle in the next time. It was fine. So there was nothing, and it was the same tray. So yeah, honestly, no issues whatsoever. You want to leave it in the vat for 4 months, you'll be fine.
It makes sense, like because of how it works. But yeah,
it does. But I know I have seen people just like, oh, you don't want to leave it in there more than like 3 days. 4 months.
Oh, we've all done that, but 4 months has got to be the record.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was all good. Because I've sorted out the garage, so now I've got a little printing area, which is really exciting. I've got both printers set up now. Everything's clear. I've got a little table, little workspace to put on like that rain board I was working on months back, probably about a year back. Still unfinished. Like everything we do.
Now, to get to your garage, do you need to go out the front of your house again, like in your last place?
I do. Yeah, I've got to like walk out and around, and I had this really creaky door too. I was like, so you'd open the door and it'll go like, and this would be like, and I like to print at like, midnight.
Yeah.
So I like to put stuff on midnight, wake up in the morning, and it's done.
100%.
I have one of these old school things, yeah. And yeah, this thing, I feel so bad that we're like this new neighborhood, and they're like, oh, this one guy just keeps opening his door at midnight, and it's creaking, it's waking up the kids. But that's all fixed, lubricated that, all is good. But no, it's really nice to have this new area where I can just sort of have the printer set up, the hobby set up, all my games on the side. It's really nice.
What kind of monsters are there in Gloomhaven then? Is it
yeah, we're talking about that.
Normal stuff.
Yeah, it starts off pretty generic. Like the first things you face are like bandits and skeletons and zombies. But then it gets a little bit more
IP
out
infringing.
there. Yeah, well, they have their own races and things. They've got their own defined like lore, and so you start to touch on that. However, they're kind of adjacent. So I'm using a lot of stuff from Loot Studios, which seems to sync up really nicely with a lot of their models.
So there's a lot of analogs then.
Yeah, like they've got a race called the Inox. Have like horns. They're kind of like beastmen, but a little bit more elegant. However, I'm kind of just using orcs, and they kind of fit the bill.
Oh, nice.
Like D&D orcs, so quite
yeah,
and more slender, that kind of thing.
D&D orcs are basically halfway between humans and bugbears, aren't they?
Pretty much, yeah. So that's pretty much what I'm using for them. There's some other things like they have like cultists, which are fine. They've got some kind of eldritch stuff, which is
like Cthulhu style.
Well, I don't know. Like only from the standees that I've seen. I try not to look at too much because the game's quite spoiler heavy. Like so I'm intentionally avoiding looking at it too much.
It's co-op, isn't it? So you don't even really need to DM much. But you've got the opportunity of blinging stuff out to have models instead of other things.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just looking at the standee art that I've punched out and then thinking, what could that be? So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's good fun. So that's taken up a bit of hobby. Fortunately, my friends have been like, we'll help paint up stuff. So that's good. I can print stuff around, run it around to their door, post it through the letterbox, and come back home.
Have you got Alison painting yet?
I did try and get her to paint her character, but she didn't want to. She said as long as it has purple base rims, I'm happy. She wants purple base rims. I don't know what it is. She's only satisfied if they have a purple rim.
That's a good way to get into Blood Bowl. Here's the purple base rim team.
You've got block.
Yeah, I've printed out the new Pokemon starters for Tiff, like the ones that are coming out soon, like the one with the duck with the quiff.
Oh wow, people made those already.
Yeah, oh gosh, yeah, straight away.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so for like 70p each, pick those up, printed them out. Because Tiff was like, oh yeah, I'll paint them sometime. So I'm kind of hoping that this weekend we'll chill out because we're going to go see Les Miserables on Saturday.
Les Miserables.
Les
Who are you?
Miserables.
What is that?
East Studio.
What did you just say?
Yeah, we're going to go see Les Mis.
You've already offended Spain. Now you've offended the entirety of France.
Who's next? And I'm going to do it while eating pizza. So I'm hoping that on the Sunday when we have a bit of a chill day, although E-Florist has just texted me to remind me that it is Mother's Day on Sunday. So
oh, it is.
Yeah, might have to run some slight interference there. I do know that Tiff's mum is working, so we won't have to do that side of the family. So we'll have to see my side of the family. But I mean, hey, gamers, it's Mother's Day tomorrow. Quickly,
I was going to say,
go get stuff.
Yeah.
Go get stuff. But no, it's a good introduction to painting stuff. If you can find something to like inspire, it's just that I think the older you get, the more aware you are that the first thing you'll paint will be garbage, and therefore it's not worth trying. So Tiff's like, well, there's no point in me painting it because it's just going to be awful. I'm like, yeah, you're right, but also it's fun, and because we got printers, we can just, it's fine. We'll just throw them in the river and print out more.
I think that's the thing, though. Like, I think no matter how, like, it's to be honest, the first thing you paint will probably be rubbish.
Yeah,
but
contrast can help that.
Yeah, but I still think you're proud of it. Like, I remember painting something for the first time and thinking, "Oh, this doesn't look like how I wanted it to look like," but I was really happy with it, and I didn't want to stop. And
I printed out some gyroids for her as well because she was like, "Oh,
nice."
Yeah, I don't know, that's cool. No, Gloomhaven sounds awesome, and the fact that it's co-op as well is just amazing. Like having a shared experience. Like we were really loving Pandemic Legacy until we got to game 9 and it was still just Pandemic, and it was kind of like, and then there's the blue cubes again. Oh, blue cubes. It was kind of like, let's play something different. And then twice now I've got 2 unfinished, incomplete copies of Pandemic Legacy from 2 different game groups, and I think you've got one as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got one. We got about halfway through and thought, well, to be fair, I thought just like, it's very repetitive.
Yeah, so close. But no, the prospect of having like a shared co-op thing like that is really wicked. I love the sound of the mechanics too. That's pretty cool. Hobby wise, I played 3 games of Dungeon Bowl with Milton on Saturday. That was wicked. He came over from the Isle of Wight. I made loads of jokes about him coming back to England. He was as impressed as you'd imagine. And then we met you in town, robbed you of your fire team, and got a bunch of games on the go. Stopped after the first game, went and got a steak for lunch. It was a good day. Weather was good.
You got a steak?
Yeah. We went and had a steak, came back, played a couple more games, spent a few hours going, switched to camera 5, and just having a really good time. That was a wicked day, and we were done by like 4. So when it comes to Dorset Dungeon Bowl, getting 3 games of Dungeon Bowl in a day is absolutely fine. No worries at all, which means I'm even more psyched up for Dorset Dungeon Bowl now because we played with the maps that we'll be using then, and the maps were brilliant. Really happy with how everything's spaced out, where the treasure chests are, where the teleporters are. There's a lot of tactical choices that we played twice on one map and once on another, and it was great because you go back to the map and you're like, right, I did this earlier and I probably should have done this different. So even though the map for the first and the last game are the same, you have already on that day learnt, so that map is the same map, but you are not the same coach because you've got 2 games of Dungeon Bowl. It's a really cool experience to be like, right, I've played this once and I've learned things now, let's go do this. And by game 3 you're playing very differently than game 1, and it's just so wicked. We forgot about the wizards in the first game.
Oh really?
Which was, I don't think it was the end of the world.
Okay.
But chain lightning is very cool.
Is that what the heavens get?
Yeah, you zap a dude, and then on a 3+ you zap another dude, and then on a 3+ you zap another dude. And sometimes you really zap a dude, and it's just so cool. I'm super psyched. I think it's
without giving anything away. I haven't seen the game, but did you find out can you use it in their end zone when they're lined up?
Yes.
Okay.
You absolutely can. So it turns out that because of the way that the spells are written, if you go first, you want to go first in Dungeon Bowl. You don't get to bring a dude on during your first turn, but you do get to spell them. So opening move, if you're first and you've got an area effect spell, is excellent to open with.
Yeah, that's so harsh.
It's brilliant.
you think it's worth maybe house ruling that for Dorset Dungeon Bowl?
No,
Or
no, I
are we going to
don't.
keep that? Okay, keep
Yeah,
it in. Keep it
because
in.
when, in standard Blood Bowl, a fireball, you wait until they've got the ball and then you pop it out, right? So that is still
Yeah.
a really solid tactic, and it is a better way of using those spells. It is much
Okay.
better to hold on to the spell until they've got the ball because it can create an avenue, it can create an opening. But it's also really fun to just bomb a load of the dudes at the beginning of the game, and then I don't know, it gives you the choice, and I think it's perfect. Like there were, I did it. I opened up with the preemptive strike, and then later on I was like, I really wish I had that spell because that would be so useful right now because it would just change the game. So it gives you a really good choice, and also if you're starting to play Dungeon Bowl, shooting your wizard at the beginning, it gets it out of the way. Like then you can focus on the gameplay, so it's not the worst thing in the world, and
That's true.
It's not overpowered. And I think I'd rather start the game knowing that half my team was dead than all of a sudden it happening on turn 17, and then being like, I've lost the game now. It's a case of right, I'm up against it instead. But wisdom would choose when to roll your spells. There's some good spells out there.
Well, I was going to say, what other wizards do you get? So you played with Fire, Heavens, and Beasts?
Yeah, so Fire's got the Fireball, standard Fireball.
Okay, it's the same Fireball that we all know and love.
9 square grid, 4+, Mighty Blow. And College of Heavens has got the Chain Lightning. Now, it can be amazing. You can also roll a 2 and it can do nothing, right? You zap a dude, you don't break the armor, and then on a 3+ you get to zap somebody else. Well, there are 2 other numbers that are less than 3 on a dice, and actually you can just failed to break his armor and then the spell just went away. You can also just nuke everybody, so you can roll well. College of Beasts just gives you a 3-die block.
That's really nice. What, on anyone?
Yeah, you just pick one of your guys and then they 3-die block, and if they've got Frenzy, they do it twice. So
okay.
Yeah, they grash snack it basically.
You could put Frenzy on like a stunty and
but
nuts.
Well, you see, for the colleges, they've got their own wizard. But in Dorset Dungeon Bowl, if you're taking a vanilla team, like I'm taking Halflings, I'm taking Undead, you can pick a wizard. So you're exactly right, Ben. You can be, I'm going to run Snotlings at Dorset Dungeon Bowl, and I'm going to take the College of Beasts because at some point my Snotling is just going to 3-die block somebody, and it's going to be amazing, and it will be amazing. Or you just use a double, put Frenzy on a Snotling, and 6-die block them, which I think is even better. Into a wall. Who else was it? College of
Metal, wasn't it?
Oh, this is a sweet one. Once per game, you choose a dude and you roll against their armor. If you roll equal to or under their armor, they're immediately KO'd.
Wow, okay. That's pretty powerful.
Yes. So
equal to or under.
Yeah, so they've got big guys. That big guys get knocked out. And a good thing in Dungeon Bowl is you can use the magic sponge to bring them back at a later point.
True.
But it's like they've got a
that's ridiculous. If you've got like a tree man gumming up a corridor, your College of Metal, that tree man's out of there.
Don't box cars, and that tree man is gone for at least 2 turns because they'll have to magic sponge him into reserves and then bring him on.
And then he's got to get back.
Yeah, and that movement too, that's going to take a while.
Yeah. Wow.
But I'm really excited. The one I'm most excited about, and haven't got this done yet because I need to paint up the team, is the College of Shadows, because they've got that teleporting spell that allows you to move one of your dudes 5 squares. Just pick him up and put him down 5 squares away. Can't have the ball, but it just ghost walk him. And College of Shadows has got the Skaven Thrower, so Skaven Thrower gets the ball, bamfs any Dark Elf or a Gutter Runner to the other side of the enemy's line, throw it across, touchdown. It's great because
so good.
Shadow.
They can move afterwards after the shadow move.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's at the beginning of your turn. You move one of your dudes. There's no miscasting. There's no it fails. It's just you redeploy a guy. He can't have the ball. That's the only restriction. Now, when you build your castle, right, you've got all your dudes coming up the corridors. Sometimes it can be really difficult to get a Skaven lineman or someone past like 2 ogres in a corridor. But if you bamf from the other side, you move up the Skaven Thrower and it's a 2+ quick pass. Well, that's all right. It's 2+ quick pass and a 6+ interception roll. You're good to go. So, that's why the wizards are so important.
That's exciting. That is really exciting. It's awesome that you got to use them and like got an idea of how they work.
I'm super happy with it.
Yeah.
I still sevens are still my favorite format, but Dungeon Bowl is genuinely really special. And this weekend I'll be ordering all of our maps, which is going to be a chunky price, but then we'll have them, and then we can just play Dungeon Bowl, and it's just I don't know, it's a really cool way to play. So I've printed out the Undead team, the Death College of Death team, using the MG Pix team. So that I at lunchtime yesterday was just kind of gluing them together, and I'll get them primed over the weekend. I'm going to do a really simple paint scheme with those. That'll be done. Then College of Shadow, I will probably just paint up some Dark Elves to match the Neverbay Nightmares. Nice. I think that's probably the quickest way to get that team done. You're working on Light.
Yep.
And Ian Hannam is going to let us use his Life team.
Oh, okay. They are looking good.
So good.
He goes all out there, doesn't he?
He really does.
He gets an idea and gets tunnel vision and just goes for it and knocks it out of the park, and it's fantastic to see.
Yeah, so he's...
and we don't help him. We were just like, no. Consider a Life team. How got the trees?
How old am I now? I'm 33. I've known Ian since I was 4. So what's that? 29 years I've been encouraging him to do stuff like this, and it's been brilliant. And yeah, we get to benefit by using them on the show, so that is cool. Andy's coming to Dorset Dungeon Bowl as well, so you get to see that team in person. So that'll be the last 4 colleges, and then I think next weekend there might be a chance that we could invade your new house and do some filming, Ben. But we'll have to.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
While you're dog sitting, so that could be cool. Yeah. We can test the mobile streaming kit, make sure everything travels well. I like that. So, otherwise, hobbies and games, Ben. Anything else to add?
No, that's about it. Which is actually quite a lot for a week, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like things are gearing up.
Yeah,
I even nearly went to club.
Really?
I had a game lined up with Craig, because I was like, Craig, Tiff was on holiday last week, so I didn't want to go to club night while she was off, because it would have just been a case of like she was at home all day and I was working all day, and then I'm going out. Like, that just seems a bit of a missed opportunity to spend time with my wife. So I didn't go to club last week, but this week I was like, yeah, Craig, let's get a game in, like nothing too strenuous. Let's just play a few chilled games of a board game or sevens or Adeptus, Imperialis flight game. And he was like, yeah, sweet, I'll bring my planes. And then his son got COVID. And then what? Ian's friend got COVID. So yeah, COVID could be back, which is aggravating, but I'm sure it'll be fine. So yeah, got some games in. This weekend's going to be good, watching Les Miserables, and then yeah, on to more Dungeon Bowl. Okay, so we've beaten about the bush a little bit, and now it is full-on Norse time. So at 2:40 this morning, Games Workshop did their fancy team music show for Norse. Ben, were you surprised to see Norse release being previewed?
Not in the slightest, no. But
why is that?
Well, the old Yeti. Old mystery Yeti.
Yeah, the Yeti did spoil things massively. I love that. I do think that's wonderful. Like, part of me, obviously, is sad that we don't have a brand new team surprising us. But also the excitement of receiving a model that you didn't buy that wasn't even previewed yet. When the Yeti... that's just awesome. Like, I hope they do that again, because that was wicked. I thought that was a great way to get the information out there. Anyway, 2:00, something in the morning. It was the Adepticon preview. They previewed some stuff for their other garbage games. But we're going to talk about Norse, and then we'll probably end up talking about some of the other stuff that was showing off anyway. Anyway, Norse are here. They have landed. The video is cool. And Ben, did you watch any of the stream, or did you catch any of the words?
I haven't. No, I haven't. Talk about preparation. No, I've seen the little video trailer.
Yeah.
We did. But no, I haven't seen this.
So, like I said to Tiff, like, should I do it 6:00 in the morning or 3 or 2:00? She was like, Ben, you're being ridiculous. Don't do it at 2:00. And then I just woke up at 2:30, couldn't get back to sleep, so came in here and did a quick sneaky filming sesh, and went back to bed at 4:30 once it was all posted. I woke up at 8, and she was like, "Oh, you're not doing your filming?" I was like, "I've already done it. It is all done." And she was like, "I didn't hear you." Tiff is so sensitive to sound, light, and occasionally me just being alive next door to her upsets her during the nighttime.
Romance isn't dead.
Oh, it's amazing. She's so sweet. She's the sweetest person in the world. But at bedtime, it is bedtime. Like, I'll just be merrily playing Wordle or just a game on my phone or something, and she'll be like, "All right, I think it's bedtime now." I was like, "Oh, okay, let me wrap up." And she's like, "No, I'm going to turn the light out." And just turns the light out and goes to sleep, and then gets really huffy if there's any kind of light or sound on the go. So I was like, "This is going to be very risky. I could be up against a very angry Tiff." So I kind of talked really hushed, and it worked. It worked. She didn't wake up, and we got to do a very early preview. So yeah, watch the Norse stream, and there's a couple of changes, and it's super interesting. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk through the news release, to look at the models, and then we'll take a quick break and we'll talk about some of the changes and what we expect them to be. But I mean, Ben, I know you've seen the video, therefore you've seen the whole team.
Yes.
What do you think to the models?
I really like them. I really, really like them. I think they are definitely one of the more detailed Blood Bowl teams that we have now. Like, there's a lot going on some of these models, like the Berserkers, I think they are, where they have quite extravagant armor buns.
They got a lot of stuff. So
yeah,
the team, as it was spoiled, was 12 dudes / dudettes and 2 little piggies that we will talk about in a minute. The breakdown of the box was that there are 2 Berserkers, 2 Valkyries, 2 Ulfwereners, and 6 linemen and 2 aforementioned piggies. So 14 dudes in a box, and the armor style is kind of Slavic, I think. They've got that Kislev kind of trait where they've got
kind of does, yeah,
a bit Mongolian, like with the fur outlines to stuff,
the circular bits of armor,
armor, tufty bits, and also the baggy trousers. Yes. There you go. I've offended England now too.
Racking them up.
Yeah, I know. Go doing the world tour. This was not what I had in mind. But yeah, there's a ton of detail. Like on their helmets and things, they've got a lot of the ringlet insignia. There's a bunch of beards. Is there beard stuff, or is it just hair? Like,
there's a lot of beards.
A lot of beards, a lot of braids, a lot of detail. Do you think the team's more or less detailed than the Marauders from Khorne, than the Khorne team?
Well, this is more than Khorne. One doesn't actually have a huge amount going for it. Like, not going for it, that's wrong. They're fantastic. But it doesn't have a huge amount.
Khorne.
Yeah. Doesn't have a huge amount going on, like on the models. They're quite straightforward in a way. Not in a bad way. In like a really stylish way. These are like, there's a lot of detail on.
There's a lot of detail, but it doesn't look too cluttered though, which is really quite nice.
No, that's true.
But there is a lot of detail. I think I'm super lazy, and a jolly good like agraxing or contrasting. Contrast brown is now my most favourite paint in the world. I think it would help pick out the details, but you'd have to do a lot of work, I think, picking out stuff on these models. But
yeah, they won't paint up super quick, these ones, I think.
No, there's a bit of trim as well, isn't there? Like around. Oh, that's the worst. But I mean, super.
I think something I'd say, which I actually did see. I think I saw this online. I think this might be the first team we've had from Games Workshop where it really does feel like they're inspired by third parties rather than the other way around.
Ooh, okay.
I think these, I mean, I don't know how long ago these were sculpted, because I know production takes some time. But I feel like these, I don't know, because I feel like these are very inspired by Punga's. Punga's new Kickstarter for Norse. I think there's a lot of stuff taken from that that's kind of like leaning into it. Or like in terms of also some stylistic choices, like the beer. That's quite like a third party thing to have like this kind of theme of they are drunk. Like that feels like quite a third party thing to lean. I don't know what it is. It's just something about these models feel not that Games Workshop.
Um,
Like, if this was a third party team, I would not be surprised. But I am quite surprised to see this from Games Workshop.
do you know what? That is a really fair thing. So the models I've got on the screen at the moment is the one of the Ulfwereners with one of the Valkyries.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, they don't fit the classic Games Workshop bulbous proportion. I don't know. They look like they
Things
could
that
be
do-
something else.
The things that do fit are the poses. The running poses
Yeah.
are very Games Workshop. Like when they have the arms sort of in front of them with like outstretched hands. And the other thing is having the hands which kind of like, feels like they're clawing something. One of the linemen is Korn. They have straight up reused that pose, I think. It's one of the
Is it
he's
the
got like a
fist
fist
in
stand.
front and knuckle dusted to the left?
Yeah, that is a Korn pose.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
It's the same model.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I like this. So we've got a conspiracy here. You think that there is a chance that they kind of were inspired by the Punga Slavic Norse thing, and then kind of
I think rush this out. I think part of me is that's the conspiracy. Is they've seen Punga release their Norse. They had Norse in the works. They tried to expedite this quickly, shoved out a Yeti so it doesn't seem like it's coming out of the blue too much, and then put this out before the Kickstarter gets delivered. That's my conspiracy.
That is spicy. I do like that. I do like it. I mean,
where can we cut corners? Oh, we can reuse the Korn model. Maybe some of the bodyguards from Nobility for the Berserkers. And
oh man, Ben, look at the pose of the dude carrying a beer. So like Ben said, there's some guys in here who have got beer tankards, and there is at least one dude who's standing on a beer, on a keg. They've got this beer vibe going through. But the pose of the guy with the helmet and the beer in his right hand, that is a nobility.
It's a bodyguard, right?
Or is it a lineman? He's got the classic
lineman
pose. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of is, isn't it?
How? Oh no, it's the second bodyguard. It's not the primary bodyguard with the belly. It's the other guy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. Oh, that's intriguing. Oh, oh, I do like this. Right. The style's cool. The Slavic kind of helmets work really well. I wonder. Oh, I don't know. You've got me thinking now. I wonder if they would go in Kislev, or they've maybe used some of the assets from Kislev in Warhammer: Revenge of the Square Bases. Yeah. I mean, I love the style. They could have gone.
That's so cool.
Random shirt off guys. My favorite pose is the Techno Viking, who's standing on a rock.
Also did that though.
Yes. Yeah, I think the Techno Viking transcends company.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I don't think they're the first either. So.
No, definitely not. One thing I want to come across, and I super want your opinion of this, is there's a lot of debris on the bases with these guys. So
yeah,
Techno Viking's got a random rock and a skull head. There's a keg that another dude is standing on. We try and stay away from that in Blood Bowl, don't we? Because it's taking place on a pitch. So
exactly, yeah, it's not like a random battlefield full of debris and rubble. It's a neat pitch which you would assume has some kind of caretaker. You know what I mean? It's a sport venue. They don't just have barrel.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Like I actively try and avoid putting like rocks and things on.
So do I. So I did the Artisan Guild, Thieves Guild, and some of them are like standing on bits, and it really, I didn't like it. I was like, I don't like this. Like they should be playing on a pitch. Like they should be playing on a Colosseum pitch. But I mean, some of the dwarves have got rocks and stuff on their bases, so it's not.
True. Yeah, they do.
It's cool. The poses are great, and I mean, if they got debris on the base, they've got debris on the base. It's not the biggest thing in the world. Cool design, cool concept. Interesting execution in a couple of ways, but overall, Ben, how do you feel about the team?
Yeah, I feel it's good. I really like that there's female sculpts in it. With the form of the Valkyries, like I like that. I think that's something that's really good about Blood Bowl is that, especially more recently, you've had more female models sort of
Yep.
work their way in. We have that with elves; they've got plenty. Be nice to see have like more of a choice, like different.
It looks like there's a female lineman as well.
Oh, was that?
It might just be a female head swap, which I think would be quite cool.
Oh yeah, no, I think you're right. Yeah, no, that's really good. I really like to see that because Norse has always had that kind of like masculine, manly kind of
Over the top.
we all have block. Yeah, so it's an overly muscular kind of vibe. So it's nice to sort of see this more representation.
So I want to draw your attention now to the Ulfwereners because we discussed the roster and whether or not they were going to keep the Ulfwereners, whether the positionals were going to change. Ulfwereners are kind of like half men, half beasts.
Like the Wolfen.
Yeah.
Right?
And they've definitely got vibes of the Wolfen from 40k. What do you think to the Ulf models?
I think they're really good. I think they're very distinct without kind of going, this is kind of just a werewolf. I do like them a lot. I think they're very, like, it's clear to see that this is an Ulfwerener on the team.
Yeah, they've done a good job, and they have just stuck a wolf head on their shoulder pad as well
to
make it there. They don't look massive. They don't look massive and strength 4.
They're strength 4, aren't they?
They're supposed to be strength 4. This is something that a lot of people have commented on the morning video today. It's just like the elves look a little bit small. Like maybe they're not going to be strength 4 anymore. I don't think. I mean, we'll talk about that in the next topic, but I like the model. I like the pose. They've got that saber-tooth vibe, like from X-Men. Big fan of that. Now, the Berserkers are the other positional that looks like it has stayed. And they're the guys with no trousers. They've got shorts on, and they are flat on in a war dancer pose.
Is that the
running
in front?
Running guy. Yeah. That's full on war dancer.
I didn't know if it was going to be them or if it's going to be the guys with the beer and the knuckleduster.
Yeah. I think it, and I don't know if that's been confirmed or not as to whether it is those models. I think it's those guys. I think they look more different.
Yeah, that's true.
But could be absolutely wrong. I like them. There's a couple of spare heads, which is really important. So there's a helmet. All of these guys look like they have multiple appendages.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got head swaps and you've got arm and leg swaps as well, I think.
Yeah.
So the Techno Viking's got head swap. He's got a left hand that points to the sky. He's also got a beer in his hand. The not a bodyguard, I think it's just got a random head swap. The Berserker's got a head swap. There's the Techno Viking's got either a keg to stand on or the rock to stand on.
Yep.
And
the pointing or the
yeah, and the Valkyrie's got a head swap in there. So there's a lot of interchangeability here, which is really, really, really good. That started with the Nurgle team. I think the Nurgle team was the first one that had any interchangeable parts, so you could have a head swap or something. And now, did Khorne was Khorne just one build?
Khorne had a few different heads. Khorne had, because you can have like a lot of helmets, or you can have more of the bare-headed ones.
That's good.
Yeah, didn't goblins have that? Was that before Nurgle? Was that after?
Oh,
Nurgle?
yeah, goblins did have different heads. You're quite right.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe Nurgle was before goblins.
I can't remember.
I don't remember either. And then there are the Valkyries. So, like I said, we'll go into the positionals and the changes in a second. But as a model, they've got the running thrower pose. The design fits in with the rest of the team. This is probably the model that looks the least Games Workshop to me.
It does, doesn't it? I don't know what it is.
I don't know if it's their helmet style. It looks more like Conquest. It looks more like a Simon game. They genuinely look like they're from Ben, what's the game from Fantasy Flight with the dungeons?
Oh, Descent.
Yes, they've got a Descent vibe about them. I don't know. I think it's just the winged helmets with the face mask. I think they look really cool, and I think we'll see these models being used as throwers in other teams.
I could definitely see that. Yeah, that's really cool.
I think it's wicked. First female thrower in Blood Bowl, I think. Oh no, the Wood Elf is a female thrower, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Is it?
Doesn't matter. It's a really cool sculpt, and I love that they've gone with it. There are no catchers here. There are no throwers here. There is only the Valkyrie. So we don't know entirely what that means, but we do know that there's 2 Valkyries in the box, 2 Berserkers in the boxes, 2 Ulfwereners in the boxes, 6 line dudes and dudettes in the box, and we come to it finally. I'm going to use the proper terminology here. The beer bores. This
Beer balls.
was a bit of a twist. So the box does include 2 of these little pig guys with a beer barrel strapped to their back. I have subsequently started calling them man beer pig.
That is good. That is very good.
But these. So one thing that was absolutely not. See, this is it. I was very trepidatious when I did the video in the middle of the night. I didn't want to commit because Wade on the preview had said these are positionals. They are going on the pitch. They are 20k a piece. But I still don't trust them to get it right. That might be my corporate side coming through, where I don't trust anybody to do anything properly because people are not good at sharing information correctly in corporations. But he did say that stuff. So it's...
And also, when they had like the team shop video where they kind of do all the team angles, they're in that. And like the tokens and stuff never are.
So we've got beer pigs, and one thing they said about them, here we go. The team has some unique positionals, including the skillful Valkyries, the brutal Berserkers, and the even more brutal Ulfwereners, who look like they could have flown in straight from Fenris for a game of Blood Bowl. Our favourite player, however, is the Beer Boar. Not only do they provide a quick mid-game pick-me-up to the rest of the team, but they'll surely be challenging the Avatar Arcane for this year's Miniature of the Year prize. So these are little dudes. And in the article, it says they provide a quick mid-game pick-me-up. But also when they were doing the preview, they talked about, they can be used at halftime to... I can't remember. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. To revive the team, to inspire the team or something.
Could it just be like a cake?
It could be like a cake. And this is what we are going to properly bandy about in a minute. Because it is probably the... Oh, golly my gosh. That was loud. So apologies for those of you who are listening. That was uncool of me. I pressed play on the video because I was like, I want to see the whole team together. And then Games Workshop was like, boom, noise. The video was cool. The team looked cool. Where's the picture of the whole flip-flopping team? There we go. Flip-flopping team. I think they did a bad job with the pitch.
Oh, I don't...
And the reason I think they did a bad job with the pitch on the display of the video is because it is a vanilla pitch, right? So,
right.
And they've got ice stuff in the background with white around the base, and it's just chucked on the pitch. It's the least finished one they've done so far, Ben, which does play into your theory of speeding it through the works, which I'm now properly intrigued by. But yeah, you're right. We've got pigs. The pigs are on 25mm bases. They are wee little things. And you get 14. And the most important thing about this is something that Milton pointed out to us when the Yeti was spoiled, is the Yeti was the number 15 player. Because we talked about it, didn't we?
Yeah.
About there being 14 players. And you know what? There is 14 players in this box, including the 2 man-beer pigs, which is really interesting. But, I mean, 14 players is a really good buy-in point. Yeah, you've got to get the Yeti, but depending on the price point for the Norse team and the positionals, you may not want the Yeti. You should have the Yeti, but then I am incredibly biased towards big guys, especially ones with frenzy. So... I mean, think of that what you will. But as a release, Ben, what do you reckon?
I think it's really good. Games Workshop always do fantastic teams, don't they? Yeah, whether you can get the full team for prices, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. They generally seem to be doing that, though.
They've got better, haven't they?
Yeah, like I say, you get the full team in a box. That's usually easier with newer teams than it is older one.
I think the best example of this where I think they overly did it was the Lizardman team. where they've given you all the positionals, so all 6 Sauruses, but not really enough squigs.
Squigs, getting hopeful.
Skinks. And if you want to have an all skink team, or you need to pad out your skinks, you need a second box, and you end up with too many Sauruses. When it comes to the Norse team, there will definitely be a point where you might want more line people, and a second box means you're going to have spares. But those berserkers, you're going to have spare. The Ulfwarners, you're going to have spare. The throwers, you're going to have spare. They're perfect. You can use them in other teams. You can use them as star players. You could do other stuff. Like having a couple of those berserkers as a blitzer in any other team, wicked. Like awesome. Having the Valkyrie, you get 2 of these. You run the one Valkyrie in an OWA team, the other Valkyrie in your Renegades team is a thrower if you're going to be that kind of guy. I think it's cool. I think it's cool. And 2 boxes just seems fine. I think it's probably because they've trained us to buy 2 boxes. But I think getting 2 boxes because it's an expansion as opposed to a requisite is great. And I'm loving the pigs. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to take a bit of a deep dive into how the Norse roster looks now and what these positional changes could mean for the team. And we're back. So we are going to take a bit of a dive into the world of Norse as they were and now as they are going to be. But Ben mentioned the Punga Norse team beforehand. And actually, I thought I'd pop them up on the screen here for those of you watching on YouTube, just to see the similarities. There's a lot of similarities. Like the baggy trousers, the fur boots. I mean, I think the Norse team that they've done it feels a bit more chaosy, but they've got the chaos tribes, they've got the wolf bits. I don't know if it's just
the elves in Punga one are a lot more wolfy.
Yeah,
they're a lot more like beasts, and they're generally a lot more sort of like defined musculature, which you often get on prison teams.
I like their berserkers. I like their berserkers a lot with the skull faces.
Yes, yeah, very good.
Oh man, this is a cool team.
Are they the berserkers or are they the runners? I thought the berserkers were going to be the guys with the pelts.
The Ulfs are the were-looking people. The pelts are the berserkers, and the must have been catchers, I guess, with the skull faces.
Yeah, that would make sense. Throwers there, you got alignment.
Well, the Yeti looks quite similar as well, but that's because this Yeti is definitely based on the Yetis from the Ogre World Games Workshop. So that makes sense. I really like those catcher dudes. But you can use them as your Valkyries, and that, I think, is a pretty good point to transition over to talking about this roster as it stands now and the changes within it.
Before we do that,
go.
I'll say with the Valkyries, if you did back the Punga Kickstarter along with their Amazon team, there are 2 players in the Amazon team specifically who are Valkyries. So if you want to use Valkyries, they are perfect.
Right. So the Old Norse team was 0 to 12 Norse linemen, 50k, 6'3", 3+ edge, 4+ passing, armor 8+, and block. Okay, so 1 less armor than a human lineman, but they have block. This was the Norse shtick, wasn't it? Is that their dudes have block. They're vulnerable, but they have block. 2 throwers who are 20k more than a lineman, and they have pass with passing access. 2 catchers who are 90k and extra movement, block and dauntless. Same agility, just movement 7 with agility access on a normal. That was quite huge. Norse catchers were sneaky excellent because they were the fastest players on this team and 2 touchdowns away from becoming blodgers. And that's a very quick way to, lose friends. And then you had 0 to 2 Norse berserkers. So they were 90k, same stats as a lineman, slightly worse passing, same armor as a lineman, which is interesting. I thought they were a bit tougher, but they weren't. Block, frenzy, and jump up with general and strength access. 0 to 2 Ulfwarners. Now these were just awesome players. 105k. I think they went up in price a little bit in this edition. Movement 6, strength 4, edge 4+, no passing, 9+ armor, and frenzy with general and strength. They are the best linebackers in Blood Bowl. They're the fastest strength 4-piece that isn't a Saurus, but they've come with frenzy and reasonable agility on that 4+ as well.
Yeah, and decent armor.
Very decent armor and general and strength access. So they become block frenzy
and a good
strength
price.
4. Yeah, really good price. 105. Probably one of my favorite players in the game, because that I think the Bloodseeker has kind of backfilled that role now. These guys are better because they're faster, but the Bloodseeker is better armor, and you get 4 of them, so it kind of ousted them a little bit. But the fact that we've got the Ulfwereners still in the team is huge, because it was such an important part. And then the last bit to wrap up the team was the Yeti, 140k, which is Croxagore price, so cheaper than a Minotaur. Movement 5, Strength 5, Edge 5+, Armor 9+, Claws, Disturbing Presence, Frenzy, Loner 4+, and Unchanneled Fury. Unchanneled Fury is the wild animal one, isn't it? It's the one. Animal Savagery is the one where you punch your own guy. This is just the one where you get angry and scream at the sky.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Claws on a big guy is always really, really good.
Yeah. Bloodspawn, decent player. Decent player there for 60k more than a Yeti, and you got strength access, so actually one skill up. I mean, the first thing a Yeti takes, generally speaking, is actually in the old edition it would have been Mighty Blow. In the new edition, where Mighty Blow and Claws doesn't stack, it is a bit more like, do I take Guard to make my other guys better? Do I take Brawler to make my blocks more effective?
Juggernaut. I like Juggernaut on these players, especially with the Frenzy. Like, you get nice blitzers with that.
You do, yeah. It's Juggernaut, Brawler, Guard, Mighty Blow. I mean,
especially with Unchanneled Fury, because often you blitz with these players to actually get them into where they need to be.
Yeah,
I think that's why I like Juggernaut with it.
That's fair. You are often blitzing with it. Yeah, you're quite right. I like getting them stuck in, but because you've got the Ulfwereners who blitz very effectively as well.
True.
Norse is a solid team. I'm so glad we're getting a proper team. Now, before we go and look at and speculate on the other positionals, third-party teams. Teams of Legend, we've done this as a podcast episode. Ben, you backed the heck out of Punga.
Whether I'll get them is a different story. Though
that is true, actually. That is very true.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell deal with that at the moment.
So, as it stands, you've still got your 2 Wolfwereners, you've still got your 2 Berserkers, you've got your linemen, you've got the Valkyrie, which is going to be the first piece that we talk about. That is described to be between a thrower and a catcher. Okay, the primary ball carrier is how it was described. And like you said a minute ago, when you're looking at the team, you've got the thrower models, you've got the catcher models. If you've backed the Amazon team, you've got that as well. How are you feeling about the carryover of third-party teams into the new world of Norse?
I think generally they'd be pretty okay. You could easily represent them with something, even if it was just like a different, coloured armor or some helmeted players and not helmeted players. Ultimately, you look at the Norse team that Games Workshop have made, and they're all pretty similar to each other. Like, there's not a huge amount in it, and you even get some teams like Nobility where you cannot tell the difference between them anyway. So I don't think it matters too much. I think it's clear. Like, it's clear at a glance what a player is and how they differ and what skills they have differently. That's fine. And if the Amazon players are just like purely ball carrying related skills, that's usually not of massive importance to the opponent, which is where it matters more.
Yeah,
I think as long as your opponent is clear and it's stuff like block or was it like a wrestle, something that would affect their decision.
Yeah,
I think that's where it matters most.
Yeah, I mean, you're bang on the money. As long as it's clearly defined, you can use whatever you want as whatever you want. And then if that fails, you just give them purple base rings and keep your girlfriend happy, which I think is fair. Now, I think... So, on the stream... Yeah, they were talking about the Valkyrie and how it's the ball carrying and throwing shenanigans player while everyone else crumps the enemy. So let's talk through the Valkyrie, Ben. Thrower is gone. Catcher is gone. Now, this is a speculation, but I think we're pretty certain that those two positionals are gone and have been replaced by the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie is in a running, throwing pose, but in Games Workshop land, that generally means nothing on account of the mummies running. So we've got to be very conscious, very conscious of that. What do we think the Valkyrie is going to be on this team? What skills? What set? Let's identify the model type. Let's have a look and kind of cogitate what we expect that player piece to do.
I don't think any skills really stand out. Like what this could be, like maybe like simple short hands to give you some reliability to getting the ball. If they're going to get rid of stuff like pass, then maybe they're going to replace it with just you can get the ball and then just try and hang on to it. I'm not sure. What about you? Is anything jumping out?
So the Norse deal, as it was in the old edition, this may have changed, is that everyone had block. The thrower had block, the catcher had block, the lineman had block, the berserker had block. The elf didn't have block, but all the human parts had block. So the thrower was block pass, the catcher was block dauntless, which didn't make a lot of sense as a catcher. My best guess for this piece, and I'm going to throw in, I guess, my best hopeful guess is we're going to see movement 7, strength 3, edge 3+, passing 3+, not 2+, 3+, armor 8+, and then I think we're going to see 1.5 good skills. And what I mean by that, someone in the chat earlier, on the video, said, like, what about sure hands? Sure hands, yes, if the combat skill is different. I don't think we'll see block sure hands. I think that's just insanely too good.
That will be ridiculous.
So if we see the entire Norse team transition to brawler instead of block to represent the fact that they are drunken brawlers, okay, I could see them doing that. They haven't said that there's block everywhere, so it's definitely something they could do. And they did it with the dwarves on the OWA team. If they end up with brawler and this Valkyrie positional ends up with brawler, then yeah, sure hands is a thing. Mm-hmm. If it's block, then I think we'll see pass. And do you know what? I don't think we'll see any of the other silly pass skills. I think it will be block, pass, maybe.
Not like the nobility where they got pass, running pass.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of think was going to happen. I think worst case scenario, this positional is just the Norse thrower, right? 70k, movement 6, block, pass. Okay. And you know what? That's fine. Like, that's absolutely fine. If you don't have the catchers, you've got more of an opportunity to develop your thrower, to be your primary ball carrier. If they are more of the catcher base, like movement 7 with agility access, then actually they're going to be superstars, like with block. But the key for me is whether or not they have block, because if they got block, they will not give. Now, this is a bit of a statement. They will not give another S rank skill, okay? And that's what I consider sure hands to be. Sure hands and block are just the two best skills kicking about. I don't see that happening. And I don't see this player getting better than a 3+ pass. So
yeah, I think it's something well, at least what it feels like they've done more recently is sort of given these starting players, like you say, half skills, like stuff that you didn't normally pick.
Yes.
So, like, we had like running pass ability, along with like stand firm on a line on like a bodyguard, which you might not normally take.
Yeah.
And then like grab on Black Orcs, and it kind of gives them identity. So you might even see that in this team where they have something else. It could even be like skills like safe pair of hands.
Yeah.
Which you might not normally get. I can't even remember what that does now. Is that the one that protects you against like...
I think that's the one where if you get knocked down, you get to choose where the ball goes.
Right, okay.
And you're right. This could be a really good opportunity for them to bust out a skill that doesn't normally get used much, which makes me worry a little bit, but could be awesome. Now, if they're going to make this team a running team, and historically Norse are a running team because they've got that combat piece, then actually this dude coming with sure hands would be awesome, or coming with block, because that's what they're going to end up. Now, where there's no catcher in this team, there's no point throwing most of the time. So them having pass would be suboptimal. My only thing is, what if they go nobility blitzer route with this positional? Block, catch, with a passing of 3+. And then you can develop one to be a catcher and one to be a thrower.
That would be a very good player.
That's
along with the rest of the team, depending on what the rest of the team is.
If these gals end up as nobility blitzers, but with one less armor, okay, what's the nobility blitzer? It's like aggravatingly expensive, isn't it? 105k or something that doesn't need to be.
Yeah, I think it's 100.
Put this 90k, movement 7, 1 armor less, 15k less, block and catch with just general and agility and passing maybe on a single, and you've only got 2. They kind of become the superstars of the team. And this is it. We don't know. If Norse go brawler route, this changes everything, because then you can give them sure hands.
Yeah. And I think they will. I think based on what you said, I think they will. I think block everywhere isn't really... It's not very creative design, is it? And I think maybe Games Workshop will want to mix it up a bit. It's very easy to just be like, everyone has block. Sorry, Milton. Which is...
But it's also a significant moving of someone's cheese. But yeah, that is massively the vulnerability. You know, what do you think is going to happen? Like, genuinely baseline Games Workshop, what do you think they're going to do? Let's have your genuine prediction.
I think they will be brawler. I really do. I think they will. I think they like having that skill. It does make them quite similar to Black Orcs, where you got brawler everywhere. But they're not, because they're strength 3. And I think you'll still have block on like the Berserkers.
It does differentiate your combat pieces, I guess.
Yeah, it does. And it still gives... You still have the Norse identity. You want to get stuck in. And that's kind of why I thought maybe... Like, now you've explained it to me, I think I'm even more convinced on something like Safe Pair of Hands, because the Norse playstyle is very offensive.
Yeah. Very offensive.
You want to just get absolutely stuck in there and cause damage. You have no other interest in just damaging. Like, dodging doesn't matter. You're there to do damage with your skills, not your strength. And having Safe Pair of Hands kind of lends itself to that playstyle, because you can afford to get a bit more stuck in.
Yeah.
And then you get knocked down, you put the ball there, you pick it up with one of your jump up pieces, and you carry on going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. Maybe we'll see more stuff like that, you know, the jump up, the Safe Pair of Hands, the even defensive, maybe. I don't know.
I think they'll stick with block with their core skills, because I think they'll be afraid of the... I think they'll be afraid of the backlash, because that is a monstrous change. I don't think it's a bad change, but it would massively change up the play experience. And I think they'll play it really... really close with the Valkyrie, and I think it will also be a movement 6 piece that has block and pass, which will be a skill that never gets used. That's my worry with this piece, is that if it's movement 6, the Norse thrower was useless, with the exception of running them in a tournament to take leader, so you save yourself the money. Like, this piece here is such a cool model, it deserves to be played. So nobility blitzer, or just keep the cat. Like, if they took away throwers and just had catchers, fine, right? Movement 7 and agility access gives that player an identity of itself. Great suggestion was, what if they had pro? No other skills, just had pro. Because then they're good at throwing, they're good at blocking, they're good at dodging. You've kind of got that inbuilt, and it shows that they are Odin's elite. I thought that was a great call. I don't think they'll do it, but that is a skill that we don't see rostered anywhere, that doesn't start anywhere, that could be kind of... It could definitely channel that elite vibe. But again, I think that's probably too exotic for it to be.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't think they're too afraid of doing exotic anymore. I think the original Norse roster was a little bit just not good. Like, for lack of a better term, like, it was. I know I'm going to upset some people there, but it's a bit of a mess, isn't it? Like you've said, you know, block dauntless for a catcher doesn't make any sense. You've got
Yeah,
way too many positionals from the get-go. You could get rid of catchers and be fine.
we talked about this, didn't we? About
Yeah.
combining the thrower and the catcher. Looks like they've done it. I'm super on board with that. I just hope they don't fluff the opportunity and get rid of the catchers.
Yeah.
But I mean, Ben, the biggest news, and we haven't talked about this yet, is the beer boars, the beer pigs.
Yeah.
This is just random. Like completely random. I absolutely love it. I mean, where do you stand on man bear pig?
I think it's interesting. I did have a feeling of just like Games Workshop are kind of forcing the memes a little bit. Just like, oh, this is going to be miniature of the year because it's an animal and it's funny, right, guys? But no, I think that it's worthy of it because, yeah, these are just hilarious. I don't, I don't see how they fit though. Like they're good, they're cool, they're funny. It's very Blood Bowl, but it's not very like Blood Bowl as a game. They're just a pig running around.
So, this is why I don't think they'll move too far away from block. Because as an aesthetic and as a team design, they've leaned very heavily into beer. The players have got beer. They're standing on beer kegs. And their special team thing is 20k pigs with beer barrels attached to them that are somehow allowed on the pitch. So it's 20k positional. That was, essentially confirmed. So this is where the fun genuinely begins, and this is why I think that they're going to leave the core team alone, is because it's a weird one. But what the heck do you think these guys are going to do? Like,
I have no idea. I genuinely don't. I saw some good suggestions of. I think I said it before with the Valkyries, but defensive is not a bad suggestion. You're just like because defensive turns off guard. You're distracting guard players. Guard players are usually big, probably interested in like having a pint. Like a Black Hawk or a Troll or something like that. I could definitely see that, and defensive works nicely in the Norse playstyle, where your strength is often a little bit lower than other bashing teams.
And it's not a skill that you see used.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's a really cool suggestion. I thought.
I did as well. I did like that. Now there's a. Let's assume they're going to lean into the random animal running around distracting stuff trope. Okay, let's say they start there, and it gets weirder. So defensive and guard are two of the most obvious choices, as is disturbing presence. So those are like the core skills that are there that would do stuff to represent like it's a beer mascot on the pitch. Yeah, I'm now more pumped. I'm now stronger. I need to protect the beer pig, or like you said, defensive. Like we're distracting the opponent. Now we're stronger, protecting the beer pig. Disturbing presence. There's a beer pig. All that stuff makes that's fine. That fits within the rules. Without engineering, without a new skill, without a new mechanic. And this is where my question comes to you, BT. Do you think with the beer boars, with the man beer pigs, we will see a new skill / new mechanic specifically for this open quote positional?
I think there's a really decent chance. Was that one? Oh no, I can't remember. Someone suggested a name, but I can't remember what it was. But anyway, yeah, no. I think that's possibly this. This could be something that they're trying to lean into. We saw this kind of with the referees, where we've now got kind of another presence on the pitch, and maybe they're trying to experiment more with that, or bringing more stuff on. That's kind of like not a player, but an addition.
Yeah, and this is definitely a step towards that. This is the first animal on the pitch. The first, what I would say,
Acorn?
Yeah, but he's anthropomorphized.
He is a player.
It's
a player.
Yeah. In the same way that a skeleton has character, so does Acorn. Where these guys, they are the first, I guess, non-anthropomorphized creature being that we're seeing on the Blood Bowl pitch. I don't think there's anything else, with the exception of well, this doesn't count because Rumbelow doesn't have a model. With the exception of Rumbelow's mount, everything else is a dude, roughly, that could be in a Star Wars movie, right, or a fantasy movie. Like, oh, we've got the Goblin, we've got the Minotaur, we've got the Goat Man. Like, these are things that are like, okay, I can buy something off this Goat Man, and we can do a deal. That feels like there's a level there. Now we've genuinely got. I mean, I absolutely love this dude's hat. I think it's wicked. But we've just got an animal with a barrel strapped to it that is a positional. And on the one hand, I love this. Getting stuff on the pitch is really cool. I have long been a promoter of, one, the Squig team, but two, I really want Noblar trappers, and I want trap tokens, and I want little things, and I want them to be on the pitch, because actually there's a complete area of game design there where it's just not there.
Yeah, and it's a great way to expand the game. Like it's awesome stuff to add to the game that doesn't require you to like scrap everything you've already got. If you just add new things that can like be thrown in,
yeah,
that's a really awesome way to kind of keep the game alive and evolving.
But where they've called this positional, this means that the player 13 and 14 on this roster is going to be, I mean, Timon and Pumbaa, right? And that feels weird to me, that we're going to have these pigs who are going to get SPP and they are going to level up. If they are a rostered positional, that is fine. What I assumed at first is that this is going to be kind of like the Joseph Bugman inducement, or the angry cheerleader inducement, where it is an inducement, but you can put it on the pitch if you need to. So Bugman will come on the pitch if you're down to less than 11 players. He'll come on and he's got stats. I was like, actually, it could be interesting to see. This is the only thing that I struggle with the beer balls, is they don't have that. But then they do have the mascot angle where you're like, oh, what's your favorite beer ball player? Is like, oh, it's Terry, number 17 of the Scrim Crawler people, and like, you know, people will get behind it. It's just, I don't know, just that little bit doesn't marry up to me, and that's the only thing I'm struggling to accept from a sports roleplay point of view. I can't imagine myself as the beer ball.
Yeah. I mean, literally what you just said there, where they said they provide a quick mid-game pick-me-up to the rest of their team. So if they act as like a keg as well, why is that now on the pitch?
Yeah.
Like their support staff, right? Surely it's now filling a support staff role, which, you know, you don't get your cheerleaders on the pitch. Like I get the whole design aspect of you could get a cheaper keg benefit at risk of being battered by the enemy team. But if they don't do anything else on top of that, you may as well just keep them right at the back, and you know.
And we've got to assume that if they're a positional, they're taking up one of your 11 players on the pitch.
Yeah, that's a good point. Unless they have warming,
that wouldn't work. So this is what I'm really intrigued by. Now, I'm in a power game for a second. Having access to players that are 20k on a team like Norse, that is going to save you 60k to put towards star players if you're playing in a tournament. So I'm assuming you can take 2 beer balls because there are beer balls. If they still account as players, that means you can take 9 dudes, 2 beer balls, and increase your TV gap. So you're saving money on two linemen. So you're playing an 1100 TV tournament. You take 2 beer balls, you've basically got 1160 worth of gap to put a star player in there. That means you can take Griff easier, and it means you can actually save 60k and take those Ulf Warreners as well. So interesting. That's really powerful. Really powerful. I think it could be. I mean,
it helps, right? It's options open gaps. You know, the more options you have, things you can try. So
now let's assume that these are gonna be players. They're on a 25mm round base. That puts them, in my mind, at strength 1. That seem about right?
Gotta be.
So strength 1, probably stunty, probably titchy, probably dodge, because that's just kind of what I can see them running around, squealing around. Maybe they don't have stunty because they've got stuff on them. Somebody mentioned that they were like, well, what if it's like a bomb? I think it was Chris Black said, what if it's a bomb? You know, what if
that is interesting?
Yeah, and I'm like,
now I'm sold.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, well, that is really interesting, and you're just really opening the cards here for a Night Goblin tee with squigs and squig bombs and things.
You need a rostered player, which you immediately kill.
Yeah, interesting one. Now, if they're going to be players, no hands, stunty, titchy, dodge, strength 1, snotling, probably speed and stats. I don't think they'll have sidestep because they're chunky and clunky. I don't think that will
They're a
fit them.
pig. Yep.
If that is the bar here, let's assume that we ignore everything else, then actually it could be useful to have one to run around and create opportunity assists. That would be the low bar here. You're saving some team value for star players and in positionals. But basically at 60k reroll, you can take 2 less linemen, take 2 pigs instead, and it comes with a free reroll basically. So you from a team building point of view, that's the lowest bar you've got here. Then we up the stakes. We say that actually they've got, I think disturbing presence would be the least useful, and for just on pitch rules, we're ignoring special rules for now. Guard and defensive would be really interesting. Guard on a titchy dodge player would be awesome and would work brilliantly for Norse.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that tact?
Yeah, no, I think that would almost be too strong. I think if they are, because did you say they're confirmed to be 20k?
Yeah. Wade said that they were 20k positionals.
I think 20k for a itchy guard piece is insane.
Would be monstrous, right?
Yeah, I think defensive would be a little bit more reasonable because that's dependent. That's
you have
restrictive on the enemy having guard. Right?
Yeah, and you have to put them in a position to get blatted.
Yeah.
That's the other thing about guard is you've got a strength 1 guard player. Well, they're going to get melted, but it forces the hand of your opponent at that point, which is really, really useful. So that could be great. That's where I see, we'll say the low bar is they're just vanilla strength 1 piece of garbage. Maybe they've got horns, maybe they've got dauntless because they're just little angry beings, I don't know, but it's not going to achieve much. Then we add in that question I asked you, which is, do you see them having a new skill or special rules? And this is where it gets real interesting. So with the game design hat on, Ben, looking at this from a top-down themey aspect, what would you have them do on the pitch?
I think genuinely just pure distraction. They need to cause some kind of disruption to the enemy. I think they would be more disruptive than they would be beneficial to the playing team, because the playing team are trying to win a game of sports, and they probably wouldn't put on the wars with kegs to let themselves get do you know what I mean? So I think to have these run through being just be free, cause the enemy to be like, what the hell is that? I think that could work. Some part of me, I was thinking maybe they'll have a nega trait because they're animals, and would animals adhere to sports tactics?
Which nega trait do you think would work better for an animal like this?
Really stupid.
I think you're right. Then you've got a Norseman herding a beer boar in the right direction.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
So actually, a beer boar with guard and really stupid, where one Norseman has to herd them in the right direction, would be epic.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, that would actually.
And they fail really stupid because they're standing on their own, and you know what? I don't know. That's a really narrative angle to take.
Yeah, that is. And maybe they don't have Titchy.
Yeah, maybe they don't, because they've got barrels, and actually, you know what, the Bombardier and the Stilty Runners and the Fungus Hoppers, they don't have Titchy, so it kind of balances it out a little bit. That would be really interesting for me. And I mean, one of the easiest things they could do is to allow it as a player that doesn't count as one of your starting 11 without swarming. It just says, you know what?
Yeah.
After setup, you can chuck a beer boar into, a sideline because they run onto the pitch.
That might be it. Yeah, that might be it. Yeah, because they bring these along as kegs for the game, and then without controlling it, they just keep going on the pitch. They just want to get involved.
Yeah. Now, that's kind of all. I think we've done a good job here so far of staying close to the actual core mechanics of the game. And this is where we're going to step outside of that now, because this is where loads of people have had some really great ideas. My most themey one that I don't think would work was like, right, if there's a beer ball next to a Norseman, the Norseman's drunk, they've got really stupid, but they're +1 strength or something because they're just like, they've had a sip of beer and had a crazy time. Like there's a ton of stuff they could do like that. I think someone suggested that it gives jump up to friendly players who are standing next to a beer ball, because they're like up for the beer. It inspires them to get up and fight, which is interesting, but that falls outside of the core mechanics now, and that would require a new skill or a special power, and we have not seen that introduced in any team so far.
Not on positionals, right?
No, yeah, not on rosters. Definitely in inducements, right? That's inducements are free game, like absolutely fair game. Standard positionals, and I'm thinking about this from the person who has to write the blooming rosters for our tournaments and stuff. How are they going to manage that in game? There's got to be a new skill that goes in there, and that is fine. Like that is absolutely fine. I don't see anything coming in, Ben, that would be stronger than guard.
Yeah, like guard would be strong, and it would have to have some drawback, like we've already explained. Yeah, like guard. Let's look at it like that. Where you've got, what could we introduce to the game that's really powerful? How about they give +1 to every block on people they're standing near, which is guard.
Exactly. And there's an intrinsic balancing point there of, I'll just punch the ball then, and that's okay. Like there is a balancing factor of choice. They're like, oh yeah, I'm running 2 berserkers, 2 elf warriors, and a yeti, max frenzy. I've got 2 beer balls to run around, chuck my guard on there to make sure I'm making profitable blocks, having a wonderful time. And then at halftime you can just drink them, and you can re-roll your KOs for the start of the second half. Like that all fine. Like that all fine. The beer ball being a sacrificial thing falls into the team special rule, like with the necromantic, like with the necromancers, like that's a team special rule, right? So actually, if you use the beer balls as a sacrifice to a rule instead of having the rule on them, then it takes away complication from a player stat point of view as well. Like that's your Norse special rule is you can drink a beer ball. Take a beer ball and chuck it into the casualty box. Doesn't count as a casualty, but can't be used for the rest of the game. But you get to re-roll all your KOs. You know what? All right, that's reasonable. Hell of a price at 20k though. Anything we see for 20k that has an actual effect is 15k. Is a snotling. 20k is a fungus flinger, which is a superb player, I'll give you that. But the best case scenario, it bombs some dudes and then gets murdered. Okay? Beerbor, 20k, runs around on the pitch and then can revive a player or gives you beneficial. It may be, maybe it just counts as a keg. You can drink a Beerbor and it counts as a keg for at the end of a drive. Like, all right. I could see that. They've got no hands, probably, which kind of alleviates some things.
Yeah, but then if it's a keg, you just don't want to take it.
Risk it on the pitch.
Or you just put it at the end, or you might want to take it. You probably don't want to take it because then you're down to 10 players. So
yeah, I suppose if you could take a keg or 2 beer balls, that once per game you can drink and have a keg, but just once. And you can also use them as little titchy players that run around. Yeah, okay. I don't see the point of that. I think they've got to do something that helps the team. They don't have... these guys have got to have no hands, okay? It would make no sense for them to have hands.
As much as we wish they would.
Yeah, I do love the idea of a beer ball picking up a ball in his mouth and then running off. I think that's brilliant, but that would be really powerful for the Norse to all of a sudden get a stunty player. Not going to happen. This is just the most interesting design angle. They've taken a tier 1 team that is a serious team. Norse is a serious team They've got rid of the most pointless positioner with the thrower, and they may or may not be keeping it, essentially. Love that move. Beer ball. Super interesting. Worst case for me, Ben, would it be just it being pointless?
Yeah, that would be really disappointing. It's just like, oh, that was a fun meme for the photos, and
Yeah.
no one's ever going to take it. That would be disappointing. So I hope it's interesting. I hope it's a meaningful choice. Yeah. See.
Tough one. So yeah, worst case scenario for me is that the Valkyrie is just the thrower and the catcher is gone, and the beer balls are just garbage and don't do anything fun. Overpowered realm, they end up with block and pass on the Valkyrie with the catcher stats at movement 7.
You say block and pass on the beer ball. That would be.
And then the beer ball has guard and no nega traits.
Yeah.
But you know what? As long as they balance it out a little bit, I think it's going to be okay. So I'm not worried about the beer balls. I think I'm more worried about the Valkyries. Which one are you more worried about, Ben?
I'm more worried about the Valkyries because at the end of the day, the beer balls are fun little tokens, aren't they, for rerolls and cakes and things?
Yeah, I think this is a great selling point for the team. I think there's going to be loads of players that pick up a Norse team and use these as kegs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's wicked. The Valkyrie model as well. I think we're going to see a lot of teams roll that out as your star player thrower. And I think that's great.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I love that too. Now, we've not seen the dice, we've not seen the spike, we've not seen the pitch. This is super early on. We have seen the Yeti, and the Yeti is a very cool model. Altogether, it looks like Norse are going to be a pretty great release. I mean...
When's it going to come, do you reckon?
So, it's the end of March now. When would be the most frustrating release point? We've got a tournament on the 7th of May. So, in fact, Ben, I bet you a box of Norse that it will land after then.
After May?
After May the 7th. After our tournament.
Oh, I agree with you. I don't want to have to pay you Norse.
Well, I bet you a box of Norse that it will land either Saturday the 14th of May or the 21st of May. 1 to 2 weeks after our tournament.
Okay, you're ambitious. I'm saying 18th of June.
Oh, that would suck. But you might be right. You might be right.
Is it Saturday they come out? It is Saturday.
Yeah.
18th of June. Yeah.
Now, the 7th of May... But okay, let's not beat around the bush here. Best case scenario, on Sunday they go, hey, this is up for pre-order on the 2nd and it's out on the 9th of April. That would be awesome. Not going to happen, right?
No.
Now, May is optimistic, but best case would be it would be sweet for them to land on our Dungeon Bowl day. That would just be awesome.
Yeah. I don't know whether have we talked about that. I don't know whether he's going to fit into Dungeon Bowl.
Oh yeah, no, great shout! Wow, what an accidental transition. Yeah, what do you reckon is going to happen with these guys in DB?
I don't know. I have no idea. Is there any? Where would they fit? I guess
I like the Valkyries in Heavens.
Valkyries in Heavens is pretty good,
and especially
Werner's in Beasts.
Yeah, gotta be.
I mean, everything gets thrown in Beasts, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the Yeti in Beasts. And this is it. How do you think they're going to do that?
Yeah, maybe just an FAQ, maybe like an update. I don't know. I mean, we don't even have a Dungeon Ball rulebook yet, so like a standalone one. So maybe they're waiting to bring out a few teams before doing a Dungeon Ball compendium. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to wait and see. They could be as simple as they just be like, add these to your college rosters.
It might be in the spike.
Yeah, it could be.
There might be a little one-pager that says Norse teams in Dungeon Ball. You can add this player to this roster, this player to this roster, this player to this roster. They're great in Dungeon Ball. Bye.
They might add a couple of colleges. You might have like a College of Chaos and a College of, I don't know,
the Ice College.
Yeah, like that. And then you mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, I think we're going to see some new... I don't know. It depends on how much they want to support Dungeon Ball. We won't know until the end of the year. We could, like we have with the Death Zone, like it just randomly appeared in the middle of the year last year, didn't it?
Like, that's true.
Here's a book of lols. Like, enjoy. I could see them doing that this year with some Dungeon Ball stuff in, because the Death Zone the Almanac was Death Zone. What? Summit had some Death Zone, some Blood Bowl, Dungeon Bowl rules in it. Was it? What was it? Was it Death Zone 2?
Yeah.
Was it Death Zone?
No, Death Zone 2 isn't a thing.
It was the Almanac then.
It was the Almanac.
It was the Almanac. Okay.
Yeah.
For goodness sake.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe Death Zone 2 comes out in summer, has extra Dungeon Bowl rules in, but they're only one more team. Like, best case scenario, Norse come out by then. It's March. How many teams do you think we're going to see this year?
Oh, 2 more? No, that's ambitious. 1 more.
Do you know what?
1 more team.
I would love 2 more, but I think you're right. I think we'll have this team. Then in summer we'll have a Death Zone, maybe with some stuff in, and then we'll have another team in autumn, and then maybe an Almanac. So I think that probably is what we'll see going forward. And as long as that second team is squigs, because now apparently it's fine to have animals on a pitch, then I'm well happy and I'm on board with that.
Does bode well for you. I'm still on Slash team, but one of us is going to be right, or we're both going to be wrong.
You were closest last year with corn, but I'm going to squigs, pigs. I think I've got the slight edge this year. That's a stretch, but I'm taking it.
It's true.
All right. We'll probably have a few weeks before we see any info land with these guys, won't we?
Well,
yeah. Was there anything else cool in the release that you thought was worth a mention?
I think everything was kind of cool. I mean, if we're going for the whole Adepticon release, that was pretty cool. But I think that's a lot to talk about now. It's not we don't have time on the podcast. No, we don't. Yeah, no. I think that was awesome. I think it was really cool to see all the stuff that came out, and it's great to see more Blood Bowl. Like them supporting Blood Bowl in the regular pace that they are is awesome. So thanks to Games Workshop for that, because we like Blood Bowl here.
yeah,
not bad.
We're fond of it. It is definitely the best game. Ash Waste stuff was pretty cool though. For Necromunda.
Horus Heresy is a bit dangerous.
It is, but we've got 8 mil stuff to do. That's why I'm kind of cushioned from that, because
that.
No, yeah. Hey, you've got your printer running, dude. If you're feeling the urge to build some Heresy, do that, because then you can have as many Contemptor Dreadnoughts and as many Sakaran tanks.
That's true.
And you can get Titans then. So you can just go and buy a Reaver or a Warlord, and you can actually use it.
But a Mastodon full of World Eaters, that's what I want.
We've got the STL for that, haven't we?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. All right, job done. No, Ash Waste was cool with the Sand People and the Bug Dudes and the Buggy Orlocks. Like, that's pretty cool. But not as cool as a new Blood Bowl team. So I'm very happy with that. Ben, anything else you want to touch on when it comes to Norse?
I think that's everything. Yeah, just looking forward to seeing more details. Hopefully we'll get some more deep dives into what this actually is. So.
I need to know what these boars do. All right. Anyway, podcast this week is a week early, so unless there's a lot of exciting stuff come up, we probably will be a couple of weeks before we have another episode now. But as ever, we're putting videos up on the channel. So thank you very much for joining us. Do let us know what you think is going to happen with the Norse roster, because I am properly excited. I really want the Valkyrie and the Pig to be great, because this is the 2020 version. There's an opportunity to take something excellent and just make it new. And then I want them to do the same for Amazons, please. Let's get rid of that 4 blitzer standard boring meta. Let's get movement 8 catchers in there. Let's get a Croxagore. Let's just spice up Amazons in the same way that we spiced up Norse. This is exactly what I wanted. Well, and there's man-beer pigs. So on board with that. Anyway, BT, thank you very much, mate. Always nice to chat Blood Bowl.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
Enjoy Frostgrave. No, Gloomhaven.
Gloomhaven, that's fine.
And yeah, we'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to help support the channel even further, please like and subscribe, or come join us on our Patreon. We have early access to content. We get loads of feedback from you guys, and we try and do competitions as much as we can. Or you can get yourself some Bonehead Podcast merch on our Spreadshirt site. So if you want to support a team, especially for the Bonehead Championship, you can pick up a shirt, a mug, things like that. It all helps support the channel, and we really appreciate it. Anyway, links below. Thank you very much. Happy blocking.